Well, joining us now is the Gold Glover from 2024, Patrick Bailey. And Patrick, we appreciate you stopping by. You got a distinct look. It's the headband. There's a giveaway this year for the headband. When did that start, and how did it come about?
I think it started in 21 or 22, and honestly, it's not really a good story. I don't have long hair, but I don't really have good hair, and it was just like annoying me. So I just started wearing a headband, so it would kind of keep my hair out of my eyes.
So how many do you have? You got to make decisions every game.
Yeah,
right?
I've got like 4 or 5 right now.
Do you have one with us?
I got 2.
All right.
This one, shout out to my brother-in-law, Station 4. That's his brand. He's a firefighter in Charlotte.
That's cool.
And then this one's just, most of mine are patriotic. So this is just like an Eagle 1776.
Well, so the giveaway is going to be the Patrick Bailey headband giveaway. So you're going to have a whole bunch of little leaguers running around the Bay Area with your headband on. So that's
pretty cool.
You got a Gold Glove, but that's pretty cool too, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So tell us about the Gold Glove, though. Well-deserved, obviously. Terrific catcher behind the plate. When you got the award, had to be a pretty good day for you.
Yeah. I mean, that was a dream come true. I mean, that's a bucket list thing for me. Obviously, I take a lot of pride in kind of what I do behind the plate, and kind of see that being rewarded was really special.
So pitch framing is a big thing, and I know you've talked a lot about it. There's a lot of interest in it. And you're the best at it. It shows. Metrics show that you're the best at it. But you said something that was very interesting this offseason after you won the Gold Glove and all this pitch framing talk. You said, pitch framing is important, but there's a lot of talk about turning balls into strikes. And you said, yeah, but it's also maybe more important is making sure that strikes are called strikes and you don't take the pitch out of the strike zone, which I thought was interesting because I think the normal thought process is you're stealing strikes, but your point was, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in terms of a evaluation, like numbers-wise, each pitch has a strike probability. And so if it's in the strike zone, it has a much, you can have a 95% strike probability. And if that one gets called a ball, that's several balls that you have to get called strikes to kind of even out that system. But then obviously just like game-wise, you guys know how important count leverage is. And, if a pitcher's throwing it over the plate and you're not getting it, that's even more frustrating for them. So I think, pitch framing, obviously, if you can get balls called strikes, great. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is just keeping strikes.
And you watch you do it, and it makes you realize it is an art. I mean, there's something to it because you watch other catchers do it. They're just not as good at it, not as smooth at it. How long have you worked? When did you start working at this, and do you feel like you've kind of mastered it?
Definitely not mastered it.
Pretty close.
Still got some work to do. But honestly, it started in 2020 when I was drafted. I showed up to the kind of that summer camp 2.0 thing before the COVID season, and our catching coach at the time, Craig Albernez, was basically like, hey, we're going to change how you do things. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And so it's definitely come a long way.
And this is the Gold Glove.
It's it.
So tell us about your glove. I know one thing is you shouldn't touch a major leaguer's glove. So I'm breaking etiquette here. But so this is the real one. This is the deal.
That's it.
This is your gamer.
Yes, sir.
It has the gold patch, which is pretty cool. That means it's official. He's a Gold Glover right there. So there's no question about that. But that's the gamer, and tell us about how long does it take to break in a catcher's glove? How long do you like to use it? Because I know infielders, some guys use the same glove for 5 years. Other guys switch every year. What about you?
Yeah, so it takes me probably a week or 2 to break in. Kind of depends. They're always different when you get them. Some are firmer, some are softer. But for me, I usually like a stiffer glove, so I usually go through probably 2 or 3 a year.
Really?
Yeah. I'll try to get this one to the All-Star break maybe a little sooner, and then we'll be having one broken in.
All right, well, we got a treat for you. We want to show you something. You're going to chuckle. So, you think you're good at framing, right? And it's all about the crease, right? Gloves, catcher's gloves, you can do that now. Well, we went digging, and we found a catcher's mitt from the 1940s is what our research told us.
That's crazy.
So we want you to put, you can set your mic down. We want you to put this on, and you think you're good at framing. Could you frame with that glove? What do you think?
I mean, I think I could, but I feel like it would hurt. I feel like it would hurt a lot. Hopefully Duvall's not throwing.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, let's be serious right here, okay? How long are you lasting with this glove? Like 3 pitches?
Maybe. Maybe one.
It's unbelievable,
Maybe
but
one.
that's what they
That's
used
crazy.
really into the late 60s, early 70s. I think Johnny Bench was the first one, but the difference is this crease right here. This, forget it. They called it like a pancake glove.
I believe it.
So
I believe it. That's wild.
this would be
I don't know
no
how they did
chance,
it.
no chance for
Yeah.
Patrick Bailey. We thought you'd like that. We wanted
That's
you
cool.
to realize how lucky you are to have that.
For sure.
Tell us about the sequence of you when there's a base stealer on first, because that's a big thing for catchers. You're great at it. You got this great style. You throw sidearm, get it out of there as quick as possible. But before that, like pitch count, what are you thinking about? You keeping your eye on a base stealer, knowing that he's probably going to go.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I basically just give the sign now. It's just press a button on the pitch comm, and then I kind of angle my body kind of towards like the second baseman, just so I can kind of use like my peripheral vision to see the pitcher, peripheral vision to see the base runner, and I'm just reading him. Like if he runs and takes off, then I stay up in my, I guess, throwing position and, do what I can. But if he doesn't run, then I just kind of transition into my receiving.
So,
stance.
so instead of facing the pitcher, you will shift a little
Yeah,
bit,
a little bit.
and that's just to get your body
Yeah,
in a
like
better
if-
position to throw. Or,
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, catching, very demanding position. Nobody knows it better than you. What have you found to be the most difficult thing about catching every day in the big leagues? Because in the minor leagues, it's one thing. Catching every day in the big leagues is a different deal. So what's a thing that you use, like, I gotta get better at that?
Obviously, physically, it's very demanding. I'm trying to catch as much as I can during the season. I think a big thing is just the mental kind of fatigue that go about. Obviously, I've have a lot of homework to do with scouting, and I enjoy this part of it. Like that's what makes catching fun to me. But just the kind of stresses that go on during the game and trying to do quick numbers. If our guys are throwing 150 pitches, I'm having to make 150 kind of mental decisions on kind of what pitch to call, or so I'd say that's probably the biggest change from the big leagues to the minor leagues.
So there's more so than any other position, there's a mental fatigue
Yeah,
in catching, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that I got a lot better at last year than 2023, and just hoping to continue to kind of progress.
Both your bosses are former catchers, Buster and Bob. Do you think that helps a little bit? Because they obviously get it. I mean, they know the drill. They know what you're going through. Maybe have a little more patience with you. I don't know. But that has to help you some, knowing that even if you needed to go to them with catching questions, they're going to know what you're talking about.
For sure. I'm so blessed to have Bomel last year and obviously Buster this year. And it's just, two of the best baseball minds in general, two of the best catchers to do it. And it's just really, really cool to have them around day in and day out.
What's your pregame routine? And when I say pregame, I'm talking about when you arrive at the ballpark with that day's starting pitcher, whether it be Webb or whoever you're catching that day. When do you go to them? Do you have to kind of see what he's all about that day? Does the guy like to be left alone? But how do you deal with that leading right up to maybe when you go out to the bullpen for to get loose?
Yeah, I think it depends on the guy and kind of what they want out of you. I'm showing up and talking with our pitching coach and catching coach, just trying to, an analyst, to kind of get on the same game page with game planning and trying to have an idea of what we're going to do before ultimately we have the starting pitcher catcher meeting to go through the lineup, and then just going through it. If pitcher needs to get pumped up before the game, I try to do that. If one's more relaxed and likes to joke around, then try to just kind of form yourself to what the pitcher needs.
Yeah, so you're dealing with 5 different personalities too, right?
For
If
sure.
you got 5 guys in the rotation.
Yeah.
Are some of them like, leave me alone, I'm pitching today? Don't talk to me.
Maybe one or two.
You don't have to tell us who they are.
No, but I mean, it's you respect the kind of the zone they get in, and it's pretty fun.
I see you looking at an iPad in the dugout a lot. I mean, you got a lot of responsibilities as a catcher, but what are you looking for when you pick it up? So you come in the dugout after a half inning, and you usually are right on it. What are you checking out?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, I'm looking at if pitches were strikes called balls or ball called strikes, and just trying to get a feel for what I'm doing, trying to look if my catches look clean or if they don't, and kind of what to make that adjustment to. I'm looking at the pitch shapes for the pitchers to see if kind of they're dialed in, or if could made a little bit more adjustments, looking at opposing hitters' swings to see what they were doing. So it's a lot. I like looking at the iPad, especially defensively, to kind of remember what's going on.
Do you ever go to that night starting pitcher during the game and tell them something you saw on the iPad about maybe that pitch is good tonight, that pitch is not, I don't like that shape, it's different than it was your last start?
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of depends on the pitcher, what they like. But, yeah, there's a lot of times, like, a pitcher will throw a nasty pitch and you get an ugly swing, and you just kind of show them, it's like, hey, that was pretty good.
What about umpires? How often do you check in with them on calls? And then how often do you just, hey, what's up? I mean, obviously you guys have a close relationship. I mean, you're both in the same boat kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that I think that was kind of one of the cool things about 2024 versus 2023. 23 just kind of stressing, making sure I'm not messing up and going out and catching, where last year you kind of started to build those relationships with the umpires, which was really cool. They have an unbelievably hard job, and they do a really, really good job at it. It's nice kind of building that relationship.
Yeah, and you don't seem like, at least, watching games, you don't seem like a guy who gets pissed off a lot behind the plate. You seem pretty calm. How do you then lobby for maybe pitches with an umpire? Because there's an art to doing that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're just, again, I think the better relationship you have with them, the better communication you have. And it's, umpires are different too, and you kind of got to figure out how they click, and, the best way to go about, those conversations that, hey, man, I think that's a strike, like, what do you got? And, some like hearing that, some don't. And so you just kind of got to find that middle ground. And obviously they're working hard. They're human. I'm human. We all make mistakes, and they're trying to do the best they can, and I'm trying to do the best I can.
What's it like catching Logan Webb? I'm guessing he may be one of the easier guys for you to catch. Would that be accurate?
I don't know about easy. I really enjoy it, but, I mean, his shapes are pretty move a lot.
Yeah.
So more than usual, they're doing what they're supposed to, which I think that's kind of what makes a pitcher easy to catch. He's nasty, and it's always fun back there.
What about Doval?
He's good too. I mean, he's again, like, when his shapes are doing what it's supposed to do, it's a guy that's typically around the plate, kind of easier to catch. It's the guys that kind of supposed to throw a sinker and it cuts, or supposed to throw a cutter and it sinks. Those are the guys that can be tough back there.
So all these little leaguers that are going to be wearing your headband after the giveaway, what would you tell a young player, maybe a kid who's talented, good athlete, but wants to be a catcher? Where would you start with them, saying start here and then work off that if this is what you really want to do?
For me, it was pretty simple growing up. When I started catching and wanted to do it more, as silly as it sounds, I just caught a lot. Like, I caught a lot of bullpens, which at the time makes me laugh because those aren't fun anymore. But, when you're young and you're trying to figure it out, the best way to get better at something is to do it. And so just encourage them to catch as much as they can, and just, learn and watch guys do it.
Well, you're kind of an artist back there, and you're a lot of fun to watch. We appreciate you stopping by. This is your last chance, Patrick. If you want to use this, we'll let you.
I might take it, but I don't know if I'm going to use it.
We'll have to negotiate that, but Patrick Bailey will not be using this, trying for his second Gold Glove. Patrick, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck, man.